Disclaimer, I'm not very good at the game, so instead of hating, tell me what I did wrong if I made a mistake. The points expressed in this video are my opinions, but I'm going to make them as reasonable as possible. With that out of the way, let's get to the point. Should you get Paragon? I myself have been having lots of fun playing it. I've played about 10 games now, and I know I'm going to play a lot more in the future. However, if you're not satisfied with that, keep watching, and I will look at the game in more detail. So what is Paragon? Paragon is a third-person MOBA game. If you don't know what a MOBA is, it stands for Multiplayer Online Battle Arena. Think League of Legends, Dota 2 or Smite, just to name a few. A team of 5 players fights another team of 5 players in order to destroy their base, and while that sounds simple on paper, there is a lot more to it in practice. One team has to get through at least 2 turrets and an inhibitor to get to the enemy's core, which is what they must destroy in order to win. At this point, if you played a MOBA before, you're probably thinking that what I just described is nothing new, and it isn't. In fact, one of the biggest complaints about the game is that it's unoriginal. On the surface, this is very true. However, Paragon has got a lot of small mechanics that set it apart from other MOBAs. Just to give you an example of one, here's the Orb Prime. This is the biggest jungle camp in Paragon, so it is the equivalent of Baron Nashor in League or Roshan in Dota 2. Usually, the team that gets the last hit on a camp like this receives a huge buff. However, in Paragon, the Orb Prime drops a purple orb that someone has to pick up and transport to a spot on the enemy side of the map, and only then does the whole team acquire the buff. Both teams are notified when the orb is picked up, and the person carrying the orb is always visible on your minimap, no matter which team you're on. And should the carrier be killed, the enemy can pick up the orb and get the buff for themselves, which allows for some huge comebacks due to how powerful the buff you get is. That was just one example of a unique mechanic that to my knowledge has not been used in MOBAs before. Now let's talk about the positives and the negatives. Firstly, the graphics. The game looks absolutely fantastic, and while this won't be a factor most people consider when deciding if they should buy it, it is still worth noting. Performance. I have encountered no performance issues as of the 7 or so hours I have played this game. My 970 could run it at 90 FPS on average with everything set to maximum, with the game being installed onto an SSD. It runs great, which will be what you want from a competitive game like this. The game is fun. This is a subjective point, but I did say this video was based on my opinion. I have only played this game alone, but I am finding it very enjoyable and addictive. The game is competitive. While Paragon may not be relaxing because of how much you need to concentrate, said concentration will reward you with last hits, which will get you better items, which will make you stronger than your enemies, which will win you the game. If you like competitive games, this is definitely one for you. The characters. Each character feels like a lot of time and thought went into designing them. The pool of available characters is not very large currently, but you are bound to find someone you enjoy playing, and new characters are always being added. Finally, the unique mechanics. Other than the Orb Prime buff, there is also other small mechanics that are unique to Paragon, and I find these intriguing. The shop system, which uses cards that you upgrade instead of combining 2 items with in-game currency to make a stronger one. The shadow pads in the jungle that make you invisible to enemies unless you use your abilities or 2 or more enemies are standing on it. And harvesters, which farm you free card XP when placed in the jungle. Travel mode, which lets you run around the map fast, but if you get hit, you get rooted for a few seconds. And then there's verticality. Unlike Smite, which is the most similar, well-known MOBA, Paragon has slopes and hills you can stand up on to gain high ground. And while this may not give you a big advantage, I do like that you have to aim vertically instead of only horizontally. The map doesn't feel flat, and that's because it isn't. Now, the negatives. This game is in early access. A very valid point people make about this game is that people are paying for an unfinished product that will be finished and free to play in a few months' time, so why not just wait? While this is true, what most people don't consider is that only very minor things are unfinished. Personally, I'm finding that the game is very stable, and I have encountered only one bug which had no effect on gameplay at all. Regardless, the game has a lot of placeholder art, such as the appearance of the jungle camps, which are just different colored lane minions as of this video's release. Most of what you see in Paragon has been done before in some way or another. There are a lot of MOBA games out there with the same basic premise: hit the enemies' things until they blow up. So why not just play a different MOBA game? Well, if you're currently heavily invested in a different MOBA game, you probably won't want to pay $20 for something that you're already playing regularly. The UI. Again, this is a subjective point. I find the current user interface a bit all over the place. In my opinion, it would look better with the KDA ratio somewhere next to the map instead of in a corner of its own. And I would like to see the two teams' total kills somewhere in there too. But that's just me, and I know you can press tab to see it anyway. The UI does not distract from the action when it's going down, however, so this is not a major concern. So, should you get Paragon? Well, that depends. If you like MOBA games and/or looking for one to get into, either because you are new to the genre, or like me, you have just quit playing a different MOBA game and have $20 to spare, this game is a good choice. Just keep in mind that it is early access, which brings me on to my next point. If you don't like to pay for unfinished games, or you already play a different MOBA on a regular basis, you probably want to stay away from this one, as it most likely won't offer you enough new experiences to keep you interested over time. That's it. Please leave me some feedback of any form to let me know what you thought of my opinions. I will make more of this type of content if you, the people watching, think it's good, because I really enjoyed making it. But for now, thank you for watching, and I will see you later.